Welcome back.
Hey, good evening, everybody. Glad to be back, Shipe.
Yeah. Brad took a little week off last week. He was very sad and disappointed, and he felt that if he came on the show, it'd be nothing but anger towards the fans. So we're glad that he's back in a happier mood.
Everyone calm down. I'm back.
The person who's not here this week is Guillermo. He apparently had a work-related incident, but I think it has something to do with the Nationals sweeping his Yankees. But that's just my theory. Joining across from me is David, the coach Shipe.
Thanks. Thank you for being back, for me being back again.
And the coach would like to say something to the Gatesburg High School baseball team. So go ahead, Coach.
Okay, yeah. Well, I'd like to give a little shout-out, a little promo for the 4A state title game, which will be played at Cal Ripken Stadium tomorrow night up in Aberdeen at 7:30. The Gatesburg High School baseball team, which has a chance, now remember this is not a prediction, has a chance to become the first state title winner in baseball for Gatesburg High School.
Wow.
They going in right now with a 19-1 record. And, this is they play Severna Park tomorrow out of Anne Arundel County. Both teams were number one seeds in their regions and sweeping their regions and what I call getting to the Final Four down at the University of Maryland Tuesday night. Both were victorious down there. And it should be a good ball game. What I'd like to do is, give a little tip my hat to Coach Raverman, Coach Miller, Coach Phillips, and Coach McMillan for the fine job that they've done all year with these young men. And I'd also like to, give my best wishes to all the players and wish them the best of luck tomorrow night at Cal Ripken Stadium. And, I hope, along with all the other alumni baseball players and just alumni general from Gatesburg High School that hopefully will be there. I'm sure there'll be a lot of people down there to give them a back. This is a big occasion. You're playing what I say it's high school, but it's for a little bit of history at the school. The last time we had a high school team that was in the state title was 97, and it was a close game, and it was just unfortunate we didn't win it then. So, hey, if you're in the area, I hope a lot of people plan on coming up to Aberdeen. I believe you're going to see a real good high school game. And again, my acknowledge to the high school team for a great year, and again to Coach Raberman for just doing a great job, him and all his coaches. So thanks for letting me get that in, and wish them the best tomorrow.
Way to go, guys.
Good luck. Bring it back. Title back home to the Berg and to Moco County, so Brad can appreciate the Moco rep there. Sorry, it's not Seneca. For all of Moco, how about that?
Okay.
So let's just stay on the topic of baseball, and let's get into some very good Washington, D.C. news with the Washington Nationals are now sole possession of first place in the NLE. So congratulations. It took them, 2.5 months to get there, but they're back on top. Nice clap there. Bryce Harper's hitting the hell out the ball. I think it was 10 home runs in his last 13 games. He's been NL Player of the Week the past 2 weeks. Matt Scherzer's pitching like an all-star. His record doesn't show it, but for pitchers, I think you really look at their stats, not wins and losses. Just sometimes that's not really on them. It's, most on the bats, and most of his early losses, the bats weren't getting there, the errors, but the errors are gone now. He's pitching great. Jordan Zimmerman is back to his form. He's pitching lights out. Gio's pitching lights out. I mean, this staff is really starting to come around. I mean, I know Doug Fisher just went on the DL, but we have great young pitching that can back him up. Strasburg he's getting there. I mean, he's having some injury trouble, so hopefully that works himself out. He's normally goes through some slumps every year where he has 2 or 3 games where he'll blow up. Once in a while he'll blow up, and then he'll start getting rolling. When he gets rolling, this staff is going to be right back to they were. Biggest surprise during this stretch has been the bullpen, which was our weak point through the first month and a half. They were giving up a lot of runs in the late innings. They were, giving up leads, but now they've settled down. I think a real big part of the streak, not only Harper, but Wilson Ramos just had a 19-game hit streak that was just broken last night. But, that's a big difference. And Yunel Escobar is playing way above what everyone thought he was going to do, so he's helping out. So this team is back in first. And I think the sky's the limit from here. I think you're going to start seeing them start to pull away from the Mets, the Phillies, and the Braves. And like I talked about, with Brad earlier and everyone, that the Mets and the Braves, who were first and second, were on a high. They were on an early season high. They finally settled down to reality. The Braves aren't as good as everyone thought they were for the first month of the season. I mean, they lost everyone. So, Brad, what are your thoughts been on the Nationals in this? I mean, they've gone 17-4 in the last 21 games. What do you think about this 21-game stretch?
I think it's fantastic, and I knew it was only going to be a matter of time. This team is just way too talented, and you knew once they got healthy, they were going to start playing a lot better. And I think it came a lot quicker than most of us thought. So I'm happy that success came even earlier, and we didn't have to wait it out for a month or even a couple more weeks. But I knew it would be a matter of time, and I think a lot of other people did. We're just way better than anyone else in that division. It's that simple.
Coach, your thoughts on the Nationals during these last 21 games?
Well, like I would agree with most what everybody's saying and what they're writing. They are playing the type of baseball that we figured and thought that they would play, coming out of spring training. You get back, like you said, the bullpen. Well, the bullpen is finally settled where they know is, okay, this is your spot. This is what we expect from you in this inning. Storen is our closer. At the beginning of the year, they were still trying to figure where are these guys going to fit inning-wise, and where's the best place for them. They've got it figured out now, so the bullpen is now, they're clicking. And you get back to Escobar, they signed him. He was second base.
Well,
traded for him. They traded for him for second base. Okay, now Rendon's hurt. He goes over and he's playing a good third base. But don't leave out the fact that Espinoza is having a good season so far. People have always thrown him out. They either trade him or let him go or whatever. But he's filling in nice at the second base. I mean, they got Dan Uggla on the bench, who's a pretty good second baseman himself. But with Espinoza hitting and playing the way he is, it's tough to get Uggla in the lineup. But when you do get him in, I mean, it's everybody now is playing their role that it was pictured and written down on paper. And you come out of spring training, you're the best team around, and everybody's playing with their, like I said, their butt so tight you couldn't put a finishing nail up there. So now they're playing and they're having fun. They're having fun.
I think the big thing about Espinoza is he's going back to his almost 2012 stats when they made that run where he's hitting home runs now. He's hitting for power, and he does have the capability of doing a 2020 season. It was just his strikeout rate, but I think the strikeout rate has actually gone down this year. When Rendon eventually comes back, Espinoza will probably be back to a bench role, but it's great to have someone like that can be on the bench that can fill in if, Rendon's going to need, a couple of days off when he first starts off. So that's great. Also, speaking of, teams getting back to where they should be, I think 2 weeks ago with Brad, we were talking about how the Giants were at the bottom of their division, injuries. Hunter Pence has come back, and all of a sudden they've won 6 in a row as well. So that just shows, even one player like that can make a difference. And with the Nationals, they were struggling, but they got all their, except for Rendon, all their pieces started coming back, Werf, Span. So it just shows that even with injuries, you can make a comeback. And the Giants, even with, Pence, I mean, look how big of a difference that made. They haven't lost since he came back last Saturday. And that's not bad to say at all. Going over to the AL real quick, we'll look at that. Houston still with the 5-game lead over the Angels. Whether they come back down to reality, no one really knows. I mean, they may stay up there they may be this year's Kansas City Royals, where no one thought was going to do something. Now they're doing something. I mean, I picked them to finish, I think, 4th in that division. I mean, they're showing me up, but they could be this year's Royals, and the Royals are, everyone thought they were going to take a step back, but they're starting to get a little bit of a lead in their division. The Orioles are slowly starting to come back up a little bit now. They were at the bottom. I mean, they're trying. They're winning, losing, winning, losing. The Yankees, they were in first place, but they're 3-7 out of their last 10, so they're starting take a little bit steps back. Tampa Bay and Boston, they're right there, 2nd and 3rd. Everyone thought Tampa Bay was going to have a bad year, and Boston was going to be one of the front runners. So I think the AL East may be a lot closer towards the end of the season than we think, because between 1st and 4th, the biggest difference is 4.5 games. So that, once again, could be one of the toughest divisions in baseball, and who to win. It's not. I don't know if it's because all the teams are not that good, or it's just a competitive division to where they're all maybe even playing levels. I mean, what do you think about that, Brad? They're all about even playing levels.
I'd agree with you on that. I think all of these teams are good teams, but I don't see any of them making too much noise in the postseason as of right now. I just think you have some talented rosters, some good clubs, but no real game changers coming out of the AL East, in my opinion.
And I mean, let's look at the also there was a funny stat that happened today in the Dodgers San Francisco game. Madison Bumgarner for the Giants. It's the first pitcher ever to hit a home run off of Clayton Kershaw. Kershaw's never allowed a home run to a pitcher, and Bumgarner has 7 home runs as a pitcher. So I mean, he's doing some pretty good things as a pitcher and hitting. But let's just look at some stats real quick, just to throw them out there. Nelson Cruz is leading the AL in batting average. So that's the Orioles, they probably could really use him right now with the way he's hitting.
It's a little miss for him.
I mean, he's also leading the league in home runs with 16, RBIs with 33. I mean, he's just killing the ball, and it sucks that the Orioles just let him walk like that. But I mean, the way he did last season, he was going to get paid regardless of where he went. And I guess Orioles lost 2 starters. I mean, they lost Cruz and Markakis. Both went for the money. Markakis not doing as well as so much, but over the NL side, you have Harper, who's 3rd in batting average. He's 1st in home runs, 2nd in RBIs. And granted, Stanton had an extra game today, so that's probably why he advanced over top of that. But Harper's up there with all the stats. I mean, you got Zimmerman, who's 5th in RBIs. Zimmerman's having a really good he started off slow, but now he's come around. He's hitting the homers again. He's healthy so far, cross our fingers.
Little pressure is off of him.
Yeah.
He's not worried about third, where where's the throw going? He's getting comfortable at first. The throwing or anything, it's a lot. He still has to do some. It's not like it was from third base. So he's getting comfortable. He's relaxing. New to the position. And
it's taking a little bit easier off his knees as well, because you can see when he's running the bases, he's not running at full speed. And I think the switch from third to first is also helping his knees out a little bit to where he doesn't have to make some of those dives, those little cut moves as a third baseman, to where that's the thing that hurt Rendon was a dive that hurt his knee. So, but Zimmerman's playing, I think, almost a Gold Glove level at first base. It's almost like he's been there his entire career, the way he's been playing. And I think that rubs off from having someone as like Adam LaRoche ahead of him, teaching him things. And I'm sure LaRoche through that whole season last year was telling him things. LaRoche has even said in a radio interview, he told Ryan, if you ever need anything, just call me. It doesn't matter if we're on different teams. You can always call me. So that's always good to have. And I think the big thing this year they do that wins above replacement, that WAR, and Harper's leading the lead.
I got a question.
Go ahead.
You said Golden Glove.
Yeah.
Is that so? I know is the Cy Young that's an award, right, for
Cy
baseball?
Young's for the best pitcher.
Best
Pitching.
pitcher.
Mm-hmm.
So Golden Glove is for like fielding,
The best fielders through
Okay.
all the positions. Yeah.
and that's every year. It's given to
Every year, all those awards given out every. Yep.
Now, is it in professional or is it in college?
Just professional.
Professional. Okay, gotcha.
College baseball, it's big, but it's not like as big as football or basketball. They don't really publicize that much. It'll be on like the college networks.
Yeah.
I'm sure they give out an MVP for the College World Series, I'm assuming, every year.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they put maybe the championship game on ESPN2, or maybe
I know
the
like
big
Maryland-
playoff series on ESPN2.
Like Maryland was in it last year, and a lot of their games
Yeah.
were on ESPN3, which
Okay.
you can
Oh, yeah,
only get
okay.
over the app or at spots or something like that. That's how you can get an ESPN3. So it's
Okay.
really, and you have to have like a cable provider like Comcast, Verizon, some crap
I
like
see.
that.
Oh yeah, to be able to watch it. Okay.
Yeah.
I heard Golden Glove and I was like, well, what is that exactly? So sorry to interrupt.
But that big thing where it's called, WAR, wins above replacement, to where if he's in the lineup, you're guaranteed more wins. Harper's leading the lead right now with 3.7. So within the lineup, you're getting 3.7 more wins than what you would without him in the lineup. I think that's what what WAR pretty much means. How many more wins you're getting with him in the lineup, correct?
That's it, and it shouldn't surprise you much. He's a special talent. When he's playing at his best, which he is, for the start of the season, he's irreplaceable. It's that simple. So yeah, it makes sense.
I mean, he's having an MVP type year for the NL, which is, they're starting, the whole thing with, Harper versus Trout, blah, blah. Well, Harper's getting that age to where Trout was when he was playing at this level. So you couldn't really compare the two beforehand because Harper was still young, like a couple years younger than him. But now he's reaching the age where Trout was at, and he's starting to show that maybe he could be a little bit better than Trout at the age he's going to. He's not there yet, but Trout does have years on him. And that's starting to show where people were comparing them, which I really don't think was fair to Harper because of his age. I mean, Brad, what do you think about that theory? Maybe that he's finally catching up to Trout because he's catching him up into where his age was when Trout was developing like this.
Well, I understand the comparison in terms of in terms of dominance, but they're not exactly the same type baseball player. But Trout and Harper being two of the youngest players and two of the most electric in the league right now, of course, you got to size them up and put them up against each other. But Harper's really producing this year. He's finally kind of coming into himself. He's realizing he doesn't have to hit a home run every time, just kind of get some lumber on it, and let's see what happens. And he's hitting great. So, I'm happy to see that he's really maturing and able to step into the role, and he seems to be handling it just fine.
Real quick about the Nationals, I want to get to last night real quick and the ejection of Bryce Harper where he's thrown out the game. Brad, I know you said, Coach, you hadn't watched it, but
I
Brad,
didn't see that part.
Did you by any chance see what he was thrown out on?
I did, yes.
And do you think he should have been thrown out?
No,
I don't
I don't know what was really exchanged.
We don't know what he said underneath his breath, of course. All we can hear what he said. But apparently that umpire has a history with Harper, and apparently this umpire has a history of showing his weight around and quickly throwing people out. Because from what Harper said was the reason he stepped out the box was the guy was yelling at Williams in the dugout, and to Harper, he's like, why am I going to stay in the box if you're yelling at my manager? I mean, there's really no point in me staying in there. And he finally stepped back in, and I guess, Harper with his smart-ass remark, I'll just take the fine. I don't care. He tries to show up the umpire, but I think the umpire threw his weight around. He shouldn't have thrown Harper out. And, I almost have to agree with what Harper said in the interview where, the fans come to see me, not you. They don't want to see a game decided on you. And it's funny that, I heard a thing today on the radio where when someone gets thrown out, it's 50 on the player and 50 on the umpire. And they say mostly it's 50 on the umpire because they want to show that they're in charge. They're the person, don't mess with me or I'm going to throw you out. And I think sometimes they take it too far. The problem with Harper is it's his second time, I think, in a 2-week span. And that's really going to affect them because umpires going to be like, all right, well, this dude's a dick. If he says one thing, he's out of here. But I think you have to say the umpire went completely over the boundaries. Harper shouldn't have been thrown out. Luckily, for the second straight game he's been thrown out, his replacements hit a home run, which is pretty. They're averaging 1 home run for replacement when he gets thrown out. So maybe Moore and Michael Taylor should be on that wins above replacement.
Yeah, they should be up there too. Yeah.
So who was he arguing with? Like,
what first happened was
home plate ump.
There was a strike call that was really low. It was a ball to begin with. And Harper looked back and said, hey, was that a little low? And sometimes you'll see players, they'll talk to umpires in a calm voice.
Yeah.
You'll see some of them when they don't swing, they'll turn back and look, was that a strike?
Yeah,
If I didn't swing, would that have been a strike? They'll say that. And Harper probably just said, was that a little low?
Low,
or
right,
something like that.
But who was, because when you were saying that, you were saying that the umpire was arguing with somebody else.
Yes. After that happened, Harper, looked around a little bit. Williams in the dugout.
Who is he? Who is
the coach? The coach.
Okay.
Yeah.
They started yelling towards the umpire. So the umpire Harper said he looked back. The umpire had taken off his mask.
Yeah.
And started going at it with Williams.
Yeah. Okay.
So Harper just stepped out the batter's box, like, okay, whatever. You guys are arguing. I'm just gonna get my composure back.
Right.
Give a little breather because. When something like that ruins your rhythm, you just want to be like, all right, let me get back to where it was.
Yeah.
So apparently the umpire said step in the box. Harper, I guess didn't step in. And he's like, step in. So Harper apparently stepped a foot in. The umpire was like, get in the box. Harper's like, all right, I'll take the fine. And then the umpire said something. He put his bat down to show where his foot was at in the box, and then he got tossed.
Oh, jeez.
And it's funny because when you watch it, Ryan Zimmerman is the player on the Nationals you never get a reaction out of. He never does anything. He's quiet. Mm-hmm. You see him just drop his bat and just go like something shouldn't have happened. If with him doing that, you're like, okay, it's almost like why was he thrown out? You never see Zimmerman react to anything.
Right.
So to see him do that, it's probably the wrong reason. Then Williams came out and Williams did the whole let me shove dirt on the on home plate just to make you sweep it a little bit.
I've always wanted to do that.
So and then after the game, Harper made the comment where he said 40,000 fans came to see me, not to see the ump.
Yeah.
So.
Right. I mean, that's true. I believe it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't pay the ticket price to come see the umps. I'm not there to watch them ump.
And another thing that I was affected by was I do daily fantasy on DraftKings, and
Did you get hosed?
I've been picking Bryce Harper the past couple of games. Just why wouldn't you? I mean, he's hitting home runs. I mean, home runs are worth almost 14 points. So why would I not pick him?
Yeah.
And when you're in a $1 lead or something like that, or a couple people do big $20 leads, and he gets thrown out, you're like, well, shit, the umpire just screwed me out of 20 butts probably because that's 0 points you're going to get where you could have get maybe, he could have hit his 11th home run. There's your 14th point.
Right.
And DraftKings now is partnered with baseball. So it's like they're losing money now because it's like, well, crap, if he's going to get thrown out every game, why am I going to pick him,
Yeah, they'll probably. I heard the junkies talking about earlier today that they should have some type of like recourse or something on the umpires when they do dumb things like that.
Well, when they implemented this new rule about your foot out the box, they never really stated what would happen if you took your foot out the box. I mean, it was never really. I mean, we discussed it, but I never really read a rule where are they going to give you a strike? Do you get a warning? Do you get thrown out? A fine? They never really came out and said, all right, this is what's going to happen. And then when Harper gets thrown out, now you're going to see other players like, all right, if I take my foot out, am I going to get thrown out the game now?
Yeah.
So maybe it was like, a first thing like, all right, now you saw what happened to Harper. This was happening to everyone else.
Yeah.
I mean, what were your thoughts of his actions last night with Harper? Do you think he should have been thrown out or just a warning?
Listen to you. Like, if the umpire's barking at the manager, I mean, it would be all natural. How many times have you seen the batter will step out of the box?
Yeah.
You guys are arguing. What do I need to stand in here for? Okay, get your argument over and let's play ball. Well, I guess what the umpire was doing is probably twofold. He was looking to get a two for one. And a lot of it gets back to, you don't know what that little word was said under the breath. There's one word that umpire will not tolerate. And if that word comes out, no matter what happens, you're done. And the biggest thing is, if it's how you ask the umpire to strike, like, that ball was low. No, I thought it was a little low. Okay. And then, some umpires, like when I was umpiring, somebody asked me that one time. I said, look, man, I only got a 50-50 shot. It's either ball or strike. So this time it was my 50%, it was a strike. Okay. The other 50% is thrown out now. It's not 20-30, 70-50, 80-20 or whatever. It's a 50-50 call. It's either or. So it just, a lot of that depends on verbiage. And, the umpire's been a little hasty when his group has been out there. So, it's unfortunate that it happened. And it's something that, you'll learn from it. You won't, it'll be done again, but probably, not by that person again. So, and it all comes down to you can't argue balls or strikes. Okay? You can't. That's a rule of baseball. And it's just, like I say, it's unfortunate. It's something that learn something from, and life will go on. Tomorrow night they're going to play a game, and what happened last night, hell, it's gone out the window. Everybody's back in. No, it's not like Harper doesn't get to play Friday night. Oh, he's in the lineup. Williams is back in the dugout. It's just something that, it happens. That's the game.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's all the time we had for baseball talk. I want to shift gears real quick to another local team, and I want to let Brad take the lead on this. I want Brad to go ahead and talk about the Maryland Terrapin basketball team and the moves they made in the past months to where now they're the number one ranked betting team to win the national championship next year. They have the highest betting odds. So, Brad, I want you to give your opinion on Stone, Solomon. Is that how you say his name? Solomon?
Yeah, Suleiman.
Solomon. I want you to give your two opinions on what these guys are going to bring to the team and how just adding Solomon has jumped them from, I think, like the fifth best betting team to the first, and how you think this is going to affect the team next year.
There's two routes this could go. I like the fact that now we've added some real depth to our roster, but I wonder about people jumping ship. I don't want some of our young guys who got a lot of experience this year to kind of, abandon ship and bail on Maryland. There's another player that we're getting a transfer from Georgia Tech, who's supposed to be a really, really good power forward. So that, along with Diamond Stone coming in, and then Rashid Suleiman, we are going to be very deep. We're going to have Deion Wiley coming off the bench, Jared Nickens, Tchaikovsky. We are looking very good. With Trimble and Lehman coming back, and Suleiman adds a nice dynamic of being able to knock down shots and also being able to the bucket. I know he had some off-court issues there at Duke, and something happened between him and Coach K. I don't know. I don't think anyone really knows. He got in a little bit of trouble. So hopefully he can stay out of trouble, and hopefully he doesn't bring trouble to this team and this organization, because they're on a really nice climb right now. I would assume that if he wants to come play at a high level, he's got his head back on straight, and he's ready to compete and do whatever it takes to help this team win basketball games and not be detrimental. But Vegas odds, are we the best? Sure, on paper, but this team needs to come together and blend, and I don't know if they're going to be amazing right away. It may take a couple games for us to settle in, and a lot of this now kind of falls on Turgeon in order to put this team together. Now you have a stacked roster. You got to be able to coach this up now. So I think there's a lot of pressure on Turgeon going into this next season to kind of live up to the hype and make sure that he makes this blend of talent work.
Well, the guy from Georgia Tech is Robert Carter.
Mm-hmm.
And there's actually another person who's looking to transfer to Maryland. He's from VCU, and it's sorry. Hope I say his name right. Terry Lair from VCU. That was a top 50 recruit last year when he was out of high school. He was on Maryland's list, so he's looking at Maryland. So it seems like now what's going for Maryland is people want to. People want to come to Maryland to play again, and we haven't had that in a while.
Do you need a drink?
I may need a drink.
All right.
No, you're right. You're right. I like
Sorry,
the
everyone.
fact that we have a lot of options and a lot of different types of talent, but a lot of it to go around. It's fun. I just hope a lot of these guys stick around, because we could almost have a roster similar to Kentucky's where we have a lot of depth where we can sub in guys, and we know we're going to get production. So this is going to be an exciting year. Just hope everyone can come together and Turgeon can kind of steer this ship.
Well, the thing that worries me is the way that Trimble had a year last year. I feel like if we're going to win something, it has to be this year, because I feel like we may lose Trimble after this year. Hopefully, maybe if they don't win a title, maybe he'll get the mindset, hey, you know what, let's go at it again. Hopefully Stone's not a one and done, because you see a lot of these new freshmen that are in the top 10 recruit, they're one and done now. And it's almost like when you get a recruit like that, you're like, oh my God, this has to be our year, because after this, we could lose everyone. And that's the one thing that's college basketball is starting, they're forced to go to college now instead of coming out of high school. But it's like, all right, I only have this player for 1 year, and then they're going to leave. It's almost like, I wish they would go to the football rule where they have to do at least 2 years so you can see these players develop and see real good competition on what could happen if a player from a freshman year, how he would do his sophomore year. But I highly doubt that's going to happen. I mean, I think it's an NBA thing where they allow it to happen. So we may not see that happening.
But let me interrupt you real quick, Shipe. Even if players leave, if you're a coach putting talent into the NBA, kids are going to want to come to you. They're going to say, hey, you know something.
Kentucky's a prime example, and Duke.
Kentucky's a prime example.
Yep.
And Duke. Duke, well, North Carolina puts a little bit more talent, not too much anymore, but Duke now, they know, those coaches know how to grow this talent to make them NBA ready. So if Turgeon can start firing players into the NBA, we'll keep reloading similar to what Kentucky does. Maybe not on that type of scale. Calipari does a fantastic job, but I don't think this is this is a hey, it's all or nothing right now. I think it's a good trend, and even if Stone leaves, if Turgeon can fire people into the NBA, other kids are going to want to come and hear what he has to say and learn from him. So, honestly, in my opinion, I'm excited. Even if these kids leave, I think we'll get some other talent coming in, and hopefully some of the DC, talent and Baltimore talent stays here, stays local instead of going other places. So
that's the big
we'll see
difference between Turgeon and Williams. Turgeon's trying to stay in because there's so much talent in this area.
Tons.
Turgeon's staying in here. Williams mostly went out of the DMV area, but Turgeon's realizing that all this. We got some water delivered to us.
Wow, I didn't. That was fast.
Sorry, Brad. But Turgeon is thinking, I see this talent here. Let me keep them here. I mean, yeah, he went out to get Stone, but Stone's, he's someone that you had to go out to get. I mean, you swooped him in from Wisconsin, but why did he come here? because Trimble stayed, and Trimble's a local talent. So if he can continue this trend to get this talent in DMV, I mean, we'll be fine. I mean, look who Williams let go away. Kevin Durant went away.
Ty Lawson, Michael Beasley, Carmelo Anthony. I could go on and on.
All those went away. I mean, can you imagine if like Durant went here, all those schools? I mean, Maryland probably would have a couple, maybe some national championships more than what they just had.
See, but another thing from what I understand, Shipe, is that the school was kind of regulating a little bit more who Gary Williams could get in. I think you had to be able to get into the university. I think there was academic stipulations that limited Williams's ability to recruit. So, let's not Gary Williams. I think he's a great coach, and I think a lot of players wanted to come to him. I just think there was something going on at the university that kind of regulated his ability to recruit.
Well, it seemed like that changed when they got a new AD in there as well.
Yeah, new AD and going to the conference they're in now.
And changing up conferences.
It's money. So if you're going to Big Ten, you're going to compete. You better be able to have the people on the field and on the court.
Yeah, you need the personnel
to revenue money to keep it rolling. I mean,
well, look at their football team. Look at the recruits coming to football now. I mean,
Dwayne Haskins.
I think Stephon Diggs' younger brother may be coming here as well. I think he's part of there was a high recruit. I think it was a quarterback that went to Bullis as well.
Haskins.
I just said it.
And he was trying to get Diggs as a package deal. Like he was talking about, a lot of these players are now supposedly doing package deal with their buddies.
Right.
And when you get those kids together, they've been playing together for a very long time, and the chemistry is going to be there as soon as they come in. So, with football and basketball, I think Maryland's on the rise. I mean, the baseball team's great there. They also have a great soccer, lacrosse program. I mean, Maryland all around is a very good sports program school. You just don't see some of the smaller programs like lacrosse, soccer getting publicized except on ESPNU or ESPN3. But Maryland's a very good sports school. They're they win a lot of national titles, just not in the big ones, but they win them in the small ones. I mean, you see a lot of Maryland soccer. They had a couple Maryland soccer players on the national team. A lot of them get drafted to the MLS.
Men's and women's. I mean, Maryland's women's team is fantastic.
Yes, they are.
Yeah, I mean basketball as well. I mean Maryland has
basketball.
They have a very good athletic program. You just don't get the smaller things don't get recognized. But like I said, a lot of the Maryland soccer players got drafted in MLS. Lacrosse players go to the major lacrosse league. I mean, a lot of these players are playing in professional leagues. I think I can't think of the two guys off the top of my head. I mean, they were Zuzi, who was a starter in the World Cup, went to Maryland.
Didn't he have a goal, right?
Yeah, and he went to Maryland. Yeah. So I mean, this Maryland University is a great academic program. Academic and sports, and now that football and basketball on the rise, you're going to see the school slowly rise from where back to where it should be at the top of the NCAA in terms of sports wise, and it's looking great for local teams in this area.
Well, you look at Maryland with baseball last year.
College
came out of nowhere.
No one thought they were going to do anything.
And they're doing a great job of it. They probably have right now one of the best catchers in the nation. Okay, the young man back. I watched one of the games on the Big Ten channel, and actually they have one of the young pitchers out of Gaithersburg. He's a junior, but he's already committed to Maryland. So they're starting. I think Maryland's starting to see. Man, we've got great players in this area. Don't let them go.
Yeah,
they need to stay right here at home.
Another funny thing about Maryland is one of their outfielders, Anthony Papio. I played golf with him in high school when he went to Sherwood and golf tournaments with him, and he kicked my ass in golf. It's just funny to look at. And I'm like, God, why does this kid look familiar? Like, holy crap, I played golf against this kid when he was like 3 years younger than me. So it's kind of cool for stuff like that. But I think Maryland's on the rise. It's great that we can finally talk some good things about Maryland. That's like every football season. Maybe they'll get in a bowl game somehow, maybe 5 or 6 win. Now it's like maybe they can compete in this Big Ten now to maybe not this year, but the following couple of years, maybe they can compete for the titles that people thought, well, football, they're going to go under the radar, maybe get to the bowl game. Last year, they surprised a lot of people with the winnings. And the basketball program, I think this was great for them. I think in the ACC last year, I don't know if they would have done as well because the ACC was very stacked, but basketball was a smart decision going to the Big Ten because not many Big Ten schools. I mean, you have Ohio State, Wisconsin, Indiana, Michigan State, but it wasn't as stacked, I think, as the ACC was. I think it's going to be great for the program the way they're playing now.
I saw a stat, Shipe, that said our 2016 recruiting class for Maryland just cracked the top 20. So football.
Football.
Yes.
That's great.
So,
That's great news. I mean, with the quarter. I mean, we definitely need the quarterback. I mean, we lost CJ
Oh, yeah.
Brown,
Yeah.
and
Well,
we got this kid from Bullets who looks amazing.
You know, he had the one kid that was at Quince Orchard that thought he was, everybody thought he's going to Penn State. All of a sudden, he's in Maryland now.
yeah, was that the linebacker that's
No,
or defensive end?
It was a defensive end
Defensive
/ D
end.
tackle. Yeah, the
Yeah,
big
yeah.
kid, and that was due to the defensive end that from Bullis that signed with Maryland. So and they're good friends. That's some good beef up front for him coming in.
Oh yeah.
Now we're going to a little bit switch gears. We're going to take a quick short break. On the other side of the break, we're going to talk about something that Brad missed last week that I told him I would hold off for him, and that's the PGA Championship, which was probably the best tournament I've seen.
Players?
Players. Sorry, I said
Players.
PGA. Players Championship. Excuse me. It's been 2 weeks ago. I always forgot about it. But we're going to talk about that on the other side of the break. So Brad will get his golf talk in.
Hey, this is Paul from the Shipe Sports Talk podcast. Just wanted to let you know how you can listen to our podcast while you're on the go using an app called Stitcher. You can listen anytime, anywhere using the award-winning free Stitcher app. Best part is, when you stream our podcast or any of the other 20,000 available out there, there's no downloading, no syncing, or no wasted memory. It's on demand and on the go. So if you don't already have the Stitcher app on your iPhone, Android phone, or tablet, download it free today at Stitcher.com or from your app store. Add us to your favorites list, and every week when we put out our new episode, Stitcher will automatically update and have the latest episode of the Shipe Sports Talk podcast waiting for you. While you're there, it really helps us get our podcast noticed if you give us a nice review, rating, and thumbs up. We'll greatly appreciate it. Have a comment or question? Easy. Go to ShipeSportsTalk.com, click on the Contact Us tab, and there you'll be able to submit your questions or comments. We love hearing from you, so we'll be sure to thank you live on the air. You'll also find on ShipeSportsTalk.com the latest episodes, show notes, and other ways to find us on platforms like iTunes and YouTube. Now, back to the show.
Welcome back to the Shipe Sports Talk Show. Right now we're going to get into some golf talk with the Players Championship. And Brad, I'm going to let you take it from here, buddy. Let's talk about some golf.
Okay, well, what an incredible finish! Applaud Ricky Fowler for his astonishing effort. I think he finished birdie, eagle, birdie to get to get into the playoff, and credit those other guys also having a great 4-day event, getting to the playoff with Ricky. But I mean, how exciting was that? That was great to see, just him absolutely tearing it up, and then come to the playoff and extend it to 17 and stuffed it on 17 and made another birdie to win. So wow, absolutely incredible finish. I really liked the event, and I think that really rose everyone's eyes towards Ricky Fowler and said, hey, look, let's not forget about this kid. I know we're talking about Rory and Jordan Spieth, but there's some other young talent too. And I know Ricky floats in and out of that kind of. Is he just a fashion statement, or is he actually there to win stuff? So congrats to Ricky, and way to show that you're a competitor and you're tough and you're willing to fight. So it was great.
Tell you what, Washington, number 16, the first hole of the playoff, all three golfers just went right. And it was funny. You watched. The first one went to the right, and you're like, all right, cool. This guy puts in the fairway. He'll have a good chance. He went to the right, and you're like, all right, Sergio's hitting last. Let's see what he can do. Right to the right, and I just, God, I love Sergio, and I just hate how he gets his foot's in the door, but as soon as he takes a step the other foot in, it just closed right in his face. But a great effort by him. He got the 17, and they hit tremendous shots, and he just went too far over. But what a putt by him, though, to get to the playoff, though, on 17.
True. Very, very true.
Was amazing, and
he had a little fist pump going. It was nice.
I mean, this tournament as a whole, just what golf has been so far this year, has just been great. Tournaments after tournament after tournament. All these players are playing a high level. We're having a couple repeat winners, but we're seeing a lot of people who are winning for the first time this year. I mean, it's such a competitive year. A lot of underdogs. I mean, you got Charlie Halpin, who came out of nowhere this year, who's playing great. Fowler's always at the top. Great to see him win. McIlroy is finally starting to come around now, which it took him a while to get used from playing over in Europe to come back to the U.S., but he's finally clicking. So, I mean, I can't wait for the rest of the summer. We got the U.S. Open coming up on Father's Day weekend. We got the British after that, PGA Championship, the FedEx Cup. So, I mean, it's going to be a great year. Just real quick, Brad, who did you took Phil this past week, didn't you? Or during the Players?
I took Phil to Players, yes.
Didn't work out too well, did it?
No, it didn't, actually. I was hoping Phil would have a better showing.
That was a bad week for you in sports, wasn't it?
Yeah, what week? I just completely forgot about that, so
Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Coach, what do you think about golf so far this year and the Players?
Oh, it's golf has been exciting to watch. I mean, it's on TV for 4 days, the Golf Channel and stuff. And if you miss it on Thursday or Friday, I tell you, Saturday and Sunday it just picks up because everybody is playing like you say at a high level, and it's any week, and I really liked what the Players did going to the 3-hole playoff. It's a lot better than just going back to 17. That's where we're going. But it's, that made, you're sitting there and you go, well, we got 3 holes. And then, well, let's see who gets eliminated. And then we got to go back. We're going to start here, go back to 17 and 16 again. So you had to watch. You couldn't turn it off. I mean, if you're a golf fanatic, you don't turn that off because here we are, one of the greatest courses, out there, the TPC Sawgrass, and but it just made it unbelievable to watch, and Ricky coming up, but the shot he made on 16 for the eagle, you talk about inches, feet. I mean, if that's a couple inches one way.
Water.
You might be talking about Sergio winning, but what a shot! I mean, to hit where it did, just on that grass and roll and give you a chance for the eagle. I mean, that's what it's been like all year. Somebody's going to hit a great shot, and it's just been a fun year to watch it, no matter who wins.
I definitely applaud the committee who put on the Players because that playoff format's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
It's very exciting, and you got some great golf holes. 16 being a manageable par 5 where you can get down into if you position yourself right. 17 kind of being a risk reward type hole, and then 18 just being as tough as nails. It's a great format, and there's a lot of offering in that stretch of 3 holes, which makes it even more exciting. So, definitely well done by that committee to pull up that format for the playoff.
And you saw on 16 in the playoff where, like Matt said, they all hit it in the rough over there. But you see these guys, their second shot, it was just unbelievable. The second shot, okay, put them in a great place to get the third shot on, and then boom, okay, let's all go to the 17th. And that's why these guys are at the level they're at.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, with the 3 holes, you're not pressuring on one. It was a total score after 3 for the first go around. So, okay, if I par this one, I got 2 holes left. It's not like, let's go back to 18. Well, man, I better birdie this or eagle something or I'm done. So, that's what makes golf fun, especially at the Players this year. Maybe some other tournaments, would try that format. Okay, let's go back to 18 and this best score on 18. Well, let's go back to 16 and try it again. Let's go 18, we're tied. Okay, let's go back to 10. Well, we tied there. Okay, let's come back here. And if you're a person, I guess if you're at the tournament and you're sitting on 18, we tied. Now we got to go all the way back to 10 if we want to watch, or just say to hell with it, I'll watch the big board. But you like to watch these guys in person.
Yeah.
And if everybody was able to get on 16, 17, and 18 and not miss a hole or a shot.
Or like the U.S. Open where you got to come back the next day for a whole another 18 holes.
Right.
So
I still remember to this day, and I'll remember till the day I die. Tiger
Woods.
Rocco.
I'll remember that to the day I die. I mean, that was probably one of the best playoff, but the way Tiger played with his. I mean, I think they confirmed he had the torn ACL during that.
Torn ACL and maybe meniscus something.
Yeah, I mean, he played basically on one leg and won it. But I mean, that's something I think a lot of Tiger fans and golf fans will remember until we go. That'll be the most memorable thing ever.
Well, you also have to remember, Rocco.
Yeah, who's Rocco?
And Tiger are playing another day when all the other golfers that were in that tournament And I take not a whole lot away from Rocco, but who would have thought? And he put on a charge there the last 9 to tie to come back and play the following day.
And Tiger had to make a couple shots to get back to Rocco. I mean, he made
he
one out of the bunker.
He had a birdie 18, and he made that memorable putt.
Mm-hmm. So how do the playoffs work? It sounded like that it's a new thing that they're just kind of picking holes.
It's different for different tournaments.
Oh, okay.
Like the U.S. Open, if you're tied, you'll play Monday. You'll play 18 holes just straight up. It's not match play, it's straight up, right?
U.S. Open, straight up, total.
I think the players were straight up, wasn't it, for those 3?
Yeah, playoff. Yeah. The playoff is straight up, just stroke.
Yeah.
I mean, most of the holes, they'll just go to 18, replay that. If it's tied, then they'll go play. I think is the Masters 3, or is it just one hole? You just keep going until someone wins. I think it's
the Masters is one hole, and then but they jump it around a little bit.
Yeah, they'll go 18 to 10 to
18 to 10. Yeah.
Do they? So it's just random, whatever they feel like picking.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You know, it'd be interesting at the Masters. They'll never change it because it's the Masters. But if you do what the players did, you make them do Amen's corner.
Ooh, that'd be tough. 11, 12, 13, that'd be incredible.
How awesome would that be if they changed it to Amen corner?
I mean, maybe.
We can only hope.
we can only hope. I know the guys who run that tournament are traditionalists.
I would love to see that, though. To make them play Amen corner.
There's the steal right there.
You'll make them work for it.
I'm trying to think, was it here? I don't know if you mentioned it or not. I don't know. I was listening to, maybe not. There was a gentleman that was talking about. Where was I? Oh, I was playing in the golf tournament at Gettysburg, and this guy was playing with one of his buddies. They went down to the Masters 2 years ago. They had tickets and everything, and he was telling us the prices and everything. He said one of his friends, had laid down on the grass or whatever, and at the Masters, their thing is there are no weeds at any part of the course. There's not a weed there. So he was, sitting down, and one of the head people at the Masters or whatever, he come by and goes, I saw a couple weeds over here. They escorted him off the course. He goes, here's a couple weeds that I found. You got a couple weeds here. Out, baby. We don't want you to tell anybody else we got 2 weeds here.
Well, yeah, they. It's a different world for those guys.
Yeah. All right. Well, golf has been interesting. We'll wait to see what happens the rest of the year. I just wanted to quit 2 things before we head out for the day. First, just remind everyone that the Women's World Cup is coming up within 2 weeks. It starts June 6th. It's coming up pretty quick. So, all you fans who love to get backing on USA. June 8th is their first game on a Monday night, so get ready for USA Soccer. I think their first game's against, I'm looking at Australia. So all the USA fans that like to come out of nowhere to get behind the country, June 8th, let's do it. Woo-hoo. I'll go watch the game somewhere. I don't care. I'll wear my USA men's jersey, and that counts.
Oh, and I also want to remind you, Shipe, my Rockets Cleveland pick is still alive.
It is. It is still there. You're getting worried. I think a little.
How are your Spurs doing? Just checking.
I don't know. They're at home partying or something.
I don't know how Guillermo convinced you of that one, but he must really have some mind control over you.
I just veterans leadership. I just went with that. The veteran presence.
Remember, he was copying off of my sheets at that time or whatever.
He copies, Coach. He just copies.
And also, real quick, I want to talk about the UFC fight. I don't know if you guys probably aren't as big as I am, but there's 2 big title matches this weekend on the 23rd. We got Victor Belfort versus Chris Weidman for the UFC middleweight champion. Everyone knows Chris Weidman's the man who beat Anderson Silva, finally stopped him. Of course, now we learned Silva's probably been using steroids the whole time, but that's a completely different story.
Oh, man.
But Weidman's 12-0, hasn't lost. Belfort's been around for a while. He's 24-10. That's going to be a very great fight. The main event of that evening is going to be Anthony Johnson versus Daniel Cormier for the UFC Light Heavyweight Championship, and this is for the vacant title that John Jones had to drop because he's an idiot and decided he wanted to hit and run with weed in the car and then run, come back, get the money, then run again. So he went run, get money, run again. So his career in MMA is probably done. So this is for the vacant belt. I know they came out and they were going to say, well, maybe it's for the intern belt. And then finally Dana White said, no, his belt's vacant. This is for the actual title. John Jones is done. I mean, like I said, the 1 week they even took him off the UFC rankings. The sure dog, I think pound for pound, they took him off everything, so he has nothing to do with the sport anymore. This is going to be another great fight. These two guys are heavy hitters. Cormier just came off of a loss to John Jones a couple months ago. Those two, the rivalry for those two were just tremendous. I mean, they were fighting during press conferences. I mean, they had an ESPN interview studio between Cormier and John Jones real quick, and they kept the mics on during commercial break, and they were just throwing curse words and bombs at each other like it was nothing. John Jones came on top. Anthony Johnson just came off a victory over Alexander Drustavin. I know I just butchered his name. And Drustavin was the man who everyone thought had beaten John Jones in their fight a couple of years ago, went to a decision. But as always, when you're facing the champ, don't let the judges decide. You have to do it yourself. So this is going to be a very good fight. Really big hitters. I mean, Johnson's going to have the reach over Cormier. He sits 2. Cormier's only 5'11". Of course, they're 205 for the weight, so it's going to be a good fight. On Belfort and Wedman will have the reach on that. So it's going to be a very good weekend for UFC. You have a couple of good undercard fights as well. So one of the big undercard fights I like to watch is this Uriah Hall versus Rafael Natal. I like Uriah Hall personally. He came in UFC The Ultimate Fighter. And if you look him up, anyone, he had a famous knockout where it was his first fight on The Ultimate Fighter, and he did the fastest spinning heel kick you've ever seen. The dude just went out cold. Like if you blinked, you would have missed the heel kick. It was that quick. So everyone thought he was going to be the next big star. He's had a couple bumps in the road, so we'll see what he does there. So it's a real big week for UFC. And like I said earlier when we did boxing, I think UFC is the premier fighting sport taking over the world right now, I think probably. And it's because they give the fans what they want. And these two fights for the belts is what the fans want to see. They said we want to see Johnson versus Jones. Didn't happen. All right, we'll put in Cormier. We want to see that. We want to see Belfort versus Wedman because Belfort is a Brazilian, same as Anderson Silva was. Wedman's a USA fighter, and there's always a big rivalry between USA and Brazilian fighters. Dates all the way back to the Gracie period. So it's going to be a really great weekend for UFC. So look for that. I know it's on pay-per-view, but you don't have to pay $100 for this fight. I think it's only $60, so you can keep $40 in your pocket for this one. You don't have to pay the $100 for a super
Buy
fight.
snacks with that.
Yeah. You can get pizza for the extra $40.
There
Hey,
you go.
you're gonna, what about all the lawsuits now for the Pacquiao-Merriweather fight?
Oh, yeah, a lot of people want their money back.
I mean, they are getting up there with some high-priced lawsuits.
Oh, because he didn't declare that he was injured or whatever.
Well, that also, and the fact that they thought it was a smash, or it wasn't worth the money.
Yeah, it was
They want their money back.
it was a
It
high,
was
I wish
never
I could
going to
get
be a
mine back.
knockout fight.
high school dance.
Well, here's the thing. For Dana White came out this week, and Ronda Rousey, I don't know if you guys have heard of her. I mean, she's been in a couple movies lately. She's undefeated women's champ. I mean,
Yeah.
she's beaten everyone within the first round almost by armbar. This other premier women fighter named Chris Cyborg, and people have been saying she's been avoiding been avoiding Rousey all her career. I mean, this would be the Pacquiao Mayweather fight at
yeah.
UFC.
Well, she's a
She's a strike force.
yeah. I mean, but they're
And-
both nasty fighters.
Dana White came out and said this week that if this fight would happen, first off, he wants it in Dallas for the stadium for the sellout prices. He's like, all right, cool. You all want to have MGM? I'll one up you. I'll do Dallas Cowboy Stadium and sell that out. He said he wants to sell out Dallas Cowboy Stadium, and then he says I'm going to outdo that boxing match in pay-per-view buys. He said I'm going to make over at least probably maybe $1 billion in pay-per-view buys.
Jeez.
I think he believes what he said. He wants to outdo that fight with women. He said these two women will bring more revenue to my company than your two best boxers ever.
Well, I mean,
I don't think he's wrong.
yeah. I mean, there's a huge, well, at least in the MMA, that's the Rousey and Cyborg are.
I mean, before it was Silva and Jones, but that kind of got brushed away. It was Silva, GSP. Now this is the next big one is we want to see this fight. As a UFC fan, I want to see this fight.
Yeah, I would watch it.
I mean, Rousey could kick anyone's ass.
Yeah,
She came out and said, I whooped the shit out of Floyd Mayweather. Put me in a ring with him and see what happens.
Yeah, I believe it.
And she's challenged Mayweather to a boxing match and said she could beat him.
That's awesome.
What I'll give Floyd is if he would try UFC, he's not wearing the gloves. He's quick. I think if he would connect with someone on the chin, he could probably knock someone out. But here's the problem: he can't wrestle, and any UFC fighter would just take him to the ground. I think James Toney tried to come in UFC. He didn't last after the first round.
No, boxers. I mean, especially if you've been doing it as long as he has, it's a lot. He's good at what he does, maybe in the ring, probably better than most like grapplers or ground grapplers in the MMA. But you put both. You need everything. You need everything.
Me and my buddies, we talked about which boxers could make the best UFC fighters, and we all said the way Mike Tyson trained, if you put him in a UFC when he was younger and he actually trained for it, he would be a devastating force in UFC. If you taught him how to wrestle with his power, there'd be knockouts galore.
Well, think of Kimbo Slice. He was a street fighter.
He didn't do much in UFC.
No, I mean he was a joke. He came on live TV. Remember they broadcasted that live on
the Ultimate Fighter thing, and he lost to the biggest dude in UFC.
No. I mean I think it was he actually had a match. Like wasn't it like Strikeforce? Yeah. And he lost. I mean he
got submitted. I think he was supposed to face Ken Shamrock. Ken Shamrock backed down. Ken Shamrock would have been like 40.
Yeah.
But I think Shamrock backed out. Someone had faced him, and he made him tap out. And then when he fought in the Ultimate Fighter, this guy named Big Country Roy Nelson literally set on him for 3 rounds, bit him, and then after the words, Roy Nelson was rubbing his belly, going, "Give me a burger, give me a Burger King burger." But,
yeah, so I mean, he can, obviously he's a great fighter when it comes to boxing and standing up, but when you get done,
when there's no rules involved and he just knocked the crap out of people for no reason.
He's
a free for all brawler. That's all he was. He was a backyard.
He's a street fighter.
He was a backyard. All right, 100,000 here, 1,000 here. Yeah. All right, let's go at it. Whoever wins takes it all. That's all he was.
Right, but then anybody like that, if you don't have both and you're trying to get into the MMA, then and he's training. He's trying to improve on his ground game and wrestling and all that kind of stuff. But
you're seeing even some WWE stars have gotten down to the UFC. You got CM Punk, Brock was the first one. Mm-hmm. Bobby Lashley did it. Batista, and now CM Punk was just now signed by the UFC. And apparently his camp has been going real good. I don't know if I don't think he'll be as good as Brock was. I mean, because Brock had wrestling background. He was a champ in NCAA, so he had the background.
Plus, he was ginormous.
He was.
Yeah.
But he had the background of wrestling. CM Punk didn't have that. But still, you're going to see when CM Punk fights, if it's a pay-per-view, it's going to sell because wrestling fans are going to want to tune in and be like, all right, let's see what Punk can do.
Yeah, that's a good crossover. I mean,
Dana White, people were giving him crap for signing Punk, but to White, it's like, all right, this guy's watched my sport. Let's see what he can do. And Dana White came out and said, I'm not going to put him on TV until he proves to me that he's ready. So it's not like, all right, cool, a month, you can go fight this guy. Like Brock's fight was quick, but Brock had pre-background training, and they put Brock against Frank Mir. Frank Mir made him tap out, but when they had the rematch, Brock won.
Yeah.
So I really don't expect CM Punk to win his first match, but I do expect him to learn and maybe win his second or third fight once he gets used to it, like what Brock had to do.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, if Dana White, if he's smart, he won't put him out there until he's interesting MMA talk.
Brad and my dad are just like, can we stop the UFC talk? I mean,
works for me.
All right. Well, he won't put somebody out there that's not gonna that's gonna like diminish the quality of his product. Basically.
Well, they even taught the Undertaker, and they said if this was around 20 years ago, would you've done it? Taker's like, yeah, of course I've done it, because Taker he wears UFC gloves when he wrestles now, and he incorporated some. I think like a triangle choke as one of his submissions. Supposedly, it's a fake submission, but he's done it. But he does that to stay in shape. So you're seeing a lot of these, wrestlers and boxers have said if this had been around 10 years ago, 20 years ago, I would have done it. And I firmly believe that if Tyson would have done this and trained, he would probably been one of the best fighters ever. Because, I mean, all he had to do was hit you and you were done.
Yeah.
I mean, we saw what he did in the hangar when he knocked out Zach Galifianakis. All right, I think that's going to do it for us today.
Oh, yeah?
I mean, we covered a lot today. We talked about nationals, Maryland, got some local teams, golf, UFC, women's soccer. Next week, we'll continue on the local team sport. We'll keep on with the Terps. Maybe we'll talk about what the Wizards should look for when they draft this upcoming draft, look at what they need. Obviously, we probably have a pretty good idea what they would need in this draft. Obviously, it's going to be a big man. Brad, you have to agree a little bit. Maybe a stretch 4?
Yeah, some kind of stretch 4. I think that would be our better target, stretch 4, because I think we can get a little bit more out of Gortat. I'd like to see a nice stretch 4.
Paul Millsap's a free agent.
Nah, I'd rather go young.
Young?
Yeah.
So we'll talk some Wizards and maybe what they should do during the offseason. Capital talk, I think, still going to die down. I think we're still a little... we didn't talk about the hockey playoffs, but I think Tampa Bay should be thanking us right now because I think we wore out Henry Lundqvist. I think he allowed like 6 goals the other night. So I think we've worn him out to where Tampa Bay is now taking advantage. So Tampa Bay, you can thank you.
You're welcome.
We deserve a thank you from you.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll talk some more golf, talk about the BMW over in Europe. A lot of good players over there. I'll review the fights from UFC this past weekend. Maybe we'll have some new. Well, obviously we'll have one new champ. Maybe we'll have another new champ. Maybe we'll talk a little bit more women's World Cups, look at the women's chances on how they're going to do. So everyone, thank you for listening. And for myself, Paul, Brad, Coach, another good luck to Gatesburg High School baseball. Good luck, guys, and bring a title home back to Montgomery County. So thank you, everyone, and have a good evening.
Happy Memorial Day. Thank you, veterans.
Thank you.
Yes,
Happy
thank you,
Memorial Day.
veterans. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Clap
Yes.
for the veterans.
Everything you do. Don't forget, you can
Your
catch.
grandfather.
Oh, and Paul with all his... I forgot again. Sorry,
It's all
Paul.
right, it's
Do it,
okay.
Paul. Do it, Paul.
You can find us at www.shipesportstalk.com. From there, you can link to the iTunes and the Stitcher podcasts subscriptions. When you're there, give us a rating and some comments. We'd love to see them, and we'll read them off on air. Usually, let's see where else. Facebook. What's it? Facebook.com/Shipe Sports Talk.
Twitter, Shipe Sports Talk.
Twitter at Shipe Sports
I'll
Talk.
eventually put some pictures on Instagram. I always forget to take some.
But that's I think that's all of it, right? shipesportstalk@gmail.com. You can send in
website.
emails and the websites, which I
you know
said.
what? I have a big announcement. I forgot to even mention this. Big announcement for the show. We will soon be putting blogs on our website for you all to read. You can go on the website. You can start reading what we're going to write about. My first piece is in the editing process. I keep on forgetting to talk to Paul, so that'll be out soon. Brad, I think, said he has some ideas. My
Great.
coach maybe get some ideas. Never mind. Guillermo will get some ideas going. So stay tuned for the website. Keep looking at the website. We'll post. We'll start be posting blogs you can read.
Yeah.
Comment on them. Let us know what you think. Give us your opinions, and maybe let us know what you want us to write about. And maybe, write some stuff yourself. Let us know some comments that you want to see us talked about on the show as well. So
That's a good
stay
idea.
tuned for that on the show. I can't believe I almost forgot about the biggest announcement of the show.
Yeah,
today.
no, that's great. Yeah, it's gonna hopefully turn it into more of like like a column site or a news site or something like that for sports. So
Big
awesome.
things are coming for this show.
Big things.
Yeah.
The sky's the limit.
So, from the Man Cave, thank you for listening, guys, and have a good evening. Once again, happy Memorial Day. For all of us, we're signing out. Take care.
See ya.
Bye-bye.